So, remember when last week when some Patriot fans were saying Tom Brady was too old and that he needed to be benched? When you throw nearly 300 yards in the first half, I think that's proving that statement wrong. Now, granted, this was against the Saints defense, another good Saints defense. The Saints defense hasn't been good in ever, to my knowledge, at the top of my head. But, you know, I wasn't worried about this Patriot offense. I was worried about this defense. And, giving up 20 points to Drew Brees and what I feel is a good Saints offense at home, by the way, in New Orleans. So the Patriots giving up 20 points on the road against a good Drew Brees offense. I can live with that. I do think it's kind of worrisome, though, that they haven't had a takeaway thus far. I mean, last week against the Chiefs, I felt that they had a couple interceptions drop, particularly Patrick Chung, who stinks. Don't know why he's still on this team, but anywho. A good win for the Patriots. Patriots win 36-20. Tom Brady, he needs to be benched, goes 30 for 39, 447 yards, and 3 touchdowns. No picks, no turnovers, no fumbles. You get the idea. Oh, he needs to be benched. He needs to be benched for throwing nearly 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Remember, this guy's 40 years old, and he's still doing this. Insane. But the Patriots did suffer several injuries in this one. The Patriots already getting banged up early. Dante Hightower obviously missed the game. Danny Amendola missed the game. Burkhead had to leave the game with an injury. Of course, Gronk had to leave the game with an injury, which was weird because I think both those two had groin injuries. And for me, it's weird with Gronk. I mean, Gronk had a good game, obviously, a lot better than last week. 6 receptions, 116 yards, including a big touchdown that went 53 yards. But, excuse me one moment. Thank you. So, anywho, this was weird because, Gronk, obviously, he's fragile, he's good, he's talented, but again, he's fragile. Granted, apparently it was a groin injury and not a knee injury. So that's a blessing in disguise because it's like, wow, thank God it's on the knee because it's always a knee with Gronk. With the groin, he might be okay in 2 weeks or less. So that's good. I forgot somebody else got injured. Oh, Philip Dorsett got injured too, even though he had a pretty big play for 38 yards. He had a pretty good game for Dorsett, actually, 3 receptions, 68 yards. So he also left the game with an apparent injury, but apparently it's not all that serious because he was questionable. A lot of these injuries that the Patriots suffered, those 3 injuries in particular, I believe, the injury to Burkhead, Gronk, and Dorsett were all questionable. So at least that's kind of good, meaning that they possibly could have came back, but at this point the game was well in hand that no point of risking further injury, so you get the idea. But good game. Gillislee didn't have as great as a game as he did last week. 18 rushes, 69 yards. He did have a touchdown, so it wasn't as crazy. But when you're facing the Saints defense, what do you expect to do? You throw the football. You're not gonna run the football on this team. You're gonna throw the football. So it makes sense why they didn't run the ball that often, and when they ran the ball, it was usually obviously the end of the game, time to kill. And Stephen Gostkowski, perfect 3 for 3. His longest was 28 yards, so it's not big. He did miss an extra point, which just makes me roll my eyes whenever a kicker misses an extra point. And listen, I know with the whole extra point system, how far it is now since last season, the new rule. It's not that new, but still kind of relatively new. But it's still, you're missing an extra point. I know I'm nitpicking, but yeah. Then you go on to the Saints. The Drew Brees, 27-45, 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions. Listen, if this was against most quarterbacks in the NFL, I'd be kind of worried. But it's Drew Brees. I mean, despite him getting older too, he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So, I give it a pass for the Patriots defense for the most part. Adrian Peterson had more than 6 carries. He had 8 for 26 yards. His longest was 6. How long before Adrian Peterson gets cut by the Saints? Anywho, so yeah, Drew Brees' touchdowns were to Brandon Coleman and Kobe Fleener. Kobe Fleener came in the fourth quarter. And by the way, I almost forgot to mention the 3 touchdown passes by Tom Brady was one to Gronk, I mentioned, Chris Hogan, brother, and believe it or not, a receiving touchdown for Rex Burkhead before he got injured. So, yeah, overall, I'd say a good game by the Patriots. And I believe also Eric Rowe got injured as well, but he was also questionable to return, and I was just like, Eric Rowe. I'm sorry, him and Patrick Chung are like the 2 defensive backs I look on this team, and I'm just like, I could care less about these guys because they stink. But overall, still, I think a good game by the Patriots. Of course, next week the Patriots go back at home, taking on the Houston Texans, who I think that should be a W for the Patriots. Listen, Deshaun Watson on Thursday night. First of all, that game was boring as you know what between the Texans and Bengals. That game was just boring. Watson, I know, had that really good run. But other than that, he didn't look all that great. Yeah, he didn't turn the ball over, but and I know he kept on throwing DeAndre Hopkins. When you're on the Texans, you throw it to DeAndre Hopkins. But he looked lost, and he looked like a rookie quarterback, making his first NFL career start, minus the turnovers. So while it was decent, it wasn't great. So I expect him to possibly struggle and finally the Patriots get their first, at least one first takeaway of the season for them against this Texans team. Another thing too, the Texans defense, it's really weird because obviously they looked really good against Bengals offense. That's not saying much because Bengals offense stinks. But obviously you saw what Blake Bortles and company were doing against them week 1 at home. They stunk up the joint. So I'm not too worried about that Texans game. But obviously anything can happen in the NFL. There's a reason why it's any given Sunday. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to blow the Texans out of the water, but I do expect the Patriots to win that one. So that's it for me. Again, Patriots win 36-20 in New Orleans. They proved to 1-1 this season. And now, before I forget, I can finally stop reading those dumb tweets about the Patriots have the worst record in the NFL. That joke got old real quick. I don't know what was worse, that or the Apple Watches that got real old real quick. I'm sorry, but it got old real quick. But anywho, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the Patriots victory, comment down below. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. Check out my Twitter. The link's down in the description, folks. I am out. Peace. Fantasy football. What a glorious time it is always on every Sunday. Peace.